For landlords, by landlords. The Rent Perfect Podcast with David Pickron.
Did you do that intro? I love that intro every time. Gets me all fired up, pumped up. Hey, David Pickron and Scott Aubrey here on the Rent Perfect Podcast. Excited to be with you today. Thanks for joining us, Scott. I don't know why I ask you how you're doing all the time. I'm doing amazing. I just want to hear your voice.
I appreciate that. No, I'm doing good, man. Excited to discuss what we're talking about today.
Yes. Do you even know?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we don't prep this stuff, right?
Sometimes.
Don't give out our secrets now.
That's right.
Hey, I got a story to tell you, and then we're going to get into our topic.
Perfect.
Okay. So I buy this truck. I can't find this truck. I'm looking for a specific truck. I buy this truck in Indiana. And so I've got to take this truck to Bakersfield, California, and get the back end kind of fixed.
Can we tell everybody we live in Phoenix?
Oh, we live in Phoenix,
Yeah.
so I'm driving back from Indiana, so it's a 3-day trip, right? Anyways, drop the truck off. I don't even know why I'm telling you that story. It's not important, other than I get on a plane in Bakersfield to fly home to Phoenix.
Okay.
And before the flight comes, I hear that, Mr. Pickron, come to the front. And I'm like, well, am I going to get bumped?
Right.
We upgrade you to first class.
Oh,
right?
hey.
And if anybody knows me, they know
Well,
I'm really not the first,
first class
type.
kinda guy,
I'm
yeah.
afraid I'm going to spill something.
Right.
So, you sit down and I got to kind of act like I've been there before a little bit. And, coach is just fine for me. In fact, the guy's like, what can I get you to drink before we take off,
Right.
sir? And the guy is ordering a gin and tonic next to me. And I'm like, a tomato juice, not a drinker myself,
right.
But Sprite just didn't seem like the moment. Anyways, I sit next to this guy, and he ends up being this amazing surgeon, okay? He's doing big-time surgeries. Like, he's making a fortune.
Yeah.
And he shows me his pictures of he takes up people's jawlines and he recreates and puts in brand new spanking teeth.
Nice.
And
yeah.
shows me how they kind of pills up their face. And I mean, it's actually, I'm a little queasy,
right,
especially with
yeah.
drinking a tomato juice right there. I was looking at my drink going, is that the right thing to order after this? But I don't tell him much what I do. But he tells me that he lived in Phoenix, then he bought a practice in Bakersfield, but he has to go back home because he has 3 rental properties, and one of them in particular, the people have just moved out overnight after being there for only a month.
Okay.
And he tells me all the horror stories, and I'm just kind of, grinning after learning about him a little bit. And I said, well, let me tell you what I do for a living, And I take him through some stuff, and I said, I've listened to your story. First of all, you went through Zillow. You didn't really know what you were looking at. You didn't get a security deposit. You fell in love with them. You thought, these guys are going to really take care of my place. His rent was $4,000 a month in Scottsdale, a nice home up in Scottsdale. Yeah. And while he's telling me the story, I'm just like, red flag, red flag, red flag. He says, well, can you help me sue them? I said, well, where do they work? Well, they work for themselves as a cleaning company. So, no, you really can't collect off of somebody who's self-employed. I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah.
But if they can't afford to pay you your monthly rent of $4,000, they probably don't have anything to go collect off of. So he gave me, the story, and I was really talking to him about, I know how you got into this situation because I see it all the time. Right.
Yeah.
And it came down to this. I said, why did you let them move into your Scottsdale $4,000 a month home? Why did you feel like you needed to do that? And he said to me, because I'm afraid that no one would ever apply there again. Right? And I thought about that. I think the worst thing we can do as landlords, and we do it often, especially new landlords, is manage in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Fear is never a good motivator or a good tool for anything, but especially here.
And I don't know why our mind goes there.
Yeah.
Like, I think what happens for me is being an investor. I really like buying property. It's just a hobby of mine. I really like to do it. But then you have to take off that investor hat and put on that property management hat, right? And I've always said it's people management because you really don't manage property, you manage people. And that becomes not so fun. And I think when you're doing things that you're not enjoying, you kind of rush through it, and your brain just naturally says, I got to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's risk avoidance. So, the headache. Yeah.
And so when someone says, hey, listen, I want your property, I love your property. They're making friends with you. I think your brain says, oh, great. We can be done with this really quickly. But I asked him, okay, you'd be done with this really quickly. Where are you at 30 days later?
Yeah. Well, you didn't want it done that quickly, right?
How done are
Right.
you 30 days later with a thrashed house,
Yeah.
no rent,
No security
no
deposit.
You're a surgeon making a fortune if you're in surgery, and yet you're flying back to take care of a house that takes you out of your practice. How much money did managing out of fear cost him? And what's interesting is for him, it wasn't about the money. He's got all the money in the world. In fact, he's telling me, hey, can you help me buy, 10, 20, 30 new homes? I mean, he's got, it's not a money issue for him.
Right.
It was a process issue. It was, I'm a surgeon. I like being a surgeon. I don't like being a property manager.
Yeah. Stay in your lane sometimes.
So a couple things I suggested. He either needs to, get with me and do a little coaching and get with Rent Perfect and use the app, or he just needs to have a property manager.
Yeah.
Someone like that might just need a property manager, but I know the Rent Perfect system can manage like a property manager, so I don't want to see him just go, find a property manager.
Right.
I want to see him to work himself through the Rent Perfect system. And so I'm working with him right now to write a new ad. I mean, he was telling me how he wrote his ad. There were so many red flags for me in his ad. Everything, just because he didn't know exactly what he was doing, and he was managing in fear. Now, Heather, who works here, she's been on podcasts. She's listened to me. She's gone to multiple RIAs. She's, but when she got her first rental, 1 week went by and she was like, Dave, should I drop my price?
Right.
Dave,
I remember this. Yeah.
There's like this little bit of panic, this little bit of fear. And this is what I want to explain to everybody listening today. If you're selling bubble gum, okay, everybody might be in the market today for a piece of bubble gum. Right now, you know what? That sounds really good right now. I'll buy a piece of bubble gum from you right now, okay? But when you put your property on the market, not everybody is looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, right?
Right.
In Scottsdale, Arizona today. Not the amount of people looking for that property today are probably not that many.
Yeah, it's a small percentage.
And so we in this industry run through cycles. Rent's due on the 1st, leases end on the 31st. People move in and move out on a monthly basis. Your sales cycle for a new renter has got to be, you got to be patient for at least a month or two. Get through 1 or 2 cycles where leases end and people, can move into your property, because we are not selling bubble gum. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I mean, if I put a rental up right now, the chances of someone within the hour saying, I need a rental on this date, this time, for this amount of money at this location,
it's pretty minimal, right?
It is minimal.
And we can't be willing to sacrifice our security deposit or our criteria or anything that we have related to our property. We can't just go, well,
Right.
and just lay all that stuff on the altar and go, I don't care about that anymore. I just need my rent. I don't care about it.
Yeah. Now, one of the strategies I use is I'm usually a couple $100 below market on my rents. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I could be making more money on my rentals, but I kind of like that to be kind of like to my tenants saying, if you call me too much, if you ask for too much, I got to bump the rent up to market value.
Right.
It just works for me.
It gives you a little room to negotiate.
It just works for me. But if you discount your property out of fear, and it went from $2,000 to $1,500 to $1,300 in a matter of a few days, who's going to apply to your property at $1,300 and live in a $2,000 a month neighborhood, right? The person who can afford $1,300.
Yeah, right.
So the reality is, if you have the product, don't manage out of fear. Somebody is going to come around. I've done this 100 times. I've sent people out the door saying, hey, sorry, it didn't work out. And a couple days went by, and someone else popped in. I'm telling you, with the rentals I have, I've never sat month after month after month going, oh, no one's coming in here. Someone always comes in behind the person you let go, right? So number one thing I think that will kill and take the fun out of this business is if you manage by fear. Manage with confidence. Somebody's coming. This person doesn't qualify. I've matched them against my criteria. Let them go. Someone's coming. Okay, the next person, let them go. Someone's coming. I promise you, houses aren't empty month after month after month. They are full. So I just appreciate Scotty. I know you didn't talk a whole lot of this, and I
that's
kind of
good.
got on my soapbox, but I just want people to find success, and I think getting rid of that fear and having some confidence will make a game changer in your mental health, and whether you want to stay in this game and expand.
Right.
Do you manage out of fear at all? Do you?
No.
No?
Try not to.
Okay.
I mean, it's just that's your first instinct is to manage out of fear, right? Because we're controlled by that almighty dollar. We're like, ooh, I don't want to pay I don't have to pay that for myself. That's why I'm renting it. Someone else can pay my mortgage for me.
Well, we have some short-term rentals up 2 hours north of us, and they had a really brutal winter. I mean, a lot of snow, and people weren't looking to go up there. We kind of had a slow year in our short-term rentals up there. And so as January, we only had a couple bookings in February, and it was nice here in Phoenix.
Right.
And this is kind of that people aren't flying in from out of the state. This is kind of like, let's get away for the weekend kind of properties. And so about March, my wife says, listen, we got to lower the rents. And I'm like, absolutely not. You are now going into, when you start hitting 90, 100 in Phoenix, it is busy season.
This is our sweet spot. Yeah.
So
Don't
she took one of the three and she lowered it, and she got a few hits, but she realized and in the long run, she got just as many hits on the more expensive ones as she did on the cheaper one. And she just panicked a little bit. A little bit of that fear came in, like, we're never going to rent it again. So it even creeps in everywhere.
Even to seasoned investors.
Even to seasoned.
So
So make sure that you know that you've got a great product and that it will rent. Scotty, thanks for joining me today. And until next time, continue to rent perfect.